Welcome to another edition of the Willy Bragg Show. I'm your host, Willy Bragg. Sorry for the late start. I'll try not to let that happen again. How are you doing, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights? I'm doing okay. Yo. So, yes, as you heard, Hunter Biden was pardoned by his dad, Joe Biden. And so what happened there? Well, a lot of people are like, having a problem with that. So, and so, yeah, as I said, I personally don't give a shit that Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, was pardoned. I don't give a shit about that, one way or the other. The guy's not a mass murderer. He's not anything. Is he kind of a slimy scumbag? Sure. Is he corrupt as hell and all this? Yeah. I even have my conspiracy theories. Part of the reason why, we're in the Ukraine is to cover that shit up too, because his son Hunter was on some board of an electrical company or a power company in the Ukraine. And the Ukraine, of course, being one of the most corrupt countries in Europe, or was. Is it really much of a country now? We don't know what the future will bring for the people of the Ukraine, other than the fact that I hope there's a peace between the Ukraine and Russia, and the biggest villain in this whole thing would be NATO. But anyway, and their shenanigans. But that's another subject for another time. And I've talked, and y'all know what my position is on that conflict anyway. Having that said, as I said, I think that all this hubbub about Hunter Biden being pardoned by Joe Biden, President Joe Biden, on his way out is not a problem. And there's always controversies about presidential pardons on their way out. I mean, people, various presidents have pardoned questionable people on their way out, or what have you. And, yeah, I mean, and there are pardons I have seen that shouldn't have taken place. I mean, he's been dead for, I guess, close to, but over 30 years now. But Richard Nixon was pardoned by the former vice president, Gerald Ford at the time. Compared to a lot of the crimes that has been committed in future administrations, Watergate is pretty pale in comparison. When you compare that to the Iran-Contra scandal in the 1980s, or the lies and cover-up with regard to what led to the Iraq War, that sort of thing. All this is basically, had long-term consequences. War crimes that's taken place under presidential administrations from both parties. You can argue that the murder of Qasem Soleimani was a war crime by the Donald Trump presidency, for example. So, as far as pardonings are concerned, the severity of the crimes that were committed, Hunter Biden's crimes are very small in terms of the severity. Having that also said, this is not the excuse to be a hack for the Joe Biden presidency. I don't like Joe Biden. I didn't vote for Joe Biden in 2020. I voted third party once again. I resented, I would not want to relitigate 2016 and 2020, but I was pissed to see what happened to Bernie in both primary cycles. So there's no love for Joe Biden. There is no love for Joe Biden at all, from my perspective. But at the same time, I could care less that his son was pardoned for all these crimes and everything. So there are more pressing matters in this country. I say, we have income inequality, we have global warming, we have pending World War III. Hopefully that's not going to happen. We can always hope. There are larger problems, but to be, you're a Republican pissed off that Joe Biden pardoned his son, you're just a culture war hack, And even if you're a Democrat or a liberal, worry about it. There are other things you should worry about. So that's kind of where I stand on that. Well, we'll go ahead. I'll start with an article, and I will say I will go and apologize in advance because I hate CNN, but I suppose that CNN talks about the weather, you can kind of say they're going to be objective or what have you. So it says here that the Democrats, get that? The Democrats, they're fuming over Biden's decision to pardon his son after he repeatedly said he wouldn't. And as I said, I don't personally give a shit. By M.J. Lee, Paula Reed, and Michael Williams, December 3rd. That was like yesterday. President Joe Biden's decision to pardon his son has left some Democrats fuming over his choice to repeatedly and unequivocally claim that he would never take that step, even though a pardon long appeared possible to Hunter Biden's legal team. Multiple officials who recently worked for Joe Biden said they never believed the president or the White House speaking on his behalf when they insisted in recent months that a pardon for Hunter Biden was off the table. Anyone who was even close to the top knew that he was probably going to do this. Why did we pretend otherwise? A former senior West Wing aide asked. Okay. A different former senior White House official said that they and others around him have felt certain that the president would ultimately pardon his son, while another ex-administration official put it this way: it was extremely painful, obvious that this was where things would end up. I don't know why people are going to be so surprised by this. I probably would do the same thing, and this has nothing to do with this has nothing to do with the loves of Brandon. As I said, I have plenty that I find wrong with Joe Biden. I have a nice little list of things, and I don't mind going into them in a few minutes. But as I said, there's a lot of things I have had problems with the Biden presidency. This is very low on things to be bothered by. Okay, but even as some of Joe Biden's closest allies were bewildered by the president's 11-hour pardon, Hunter Biden and his lawyers long believed that one of the possible multiple sources told CNN. That comes despite the White House saying that final decision on the pardon was reached only this weekend. The president's Sunday evening move to announce the pardon came after he spent time with his family, including Hunter in Nantucket, Massachusetts, over the Thanksgiving holiday, and has led lawmakers in Biden's own party to criticize him. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said as recently as November 7th that the pardon for Joe Biden was not being considered. Joe Biden's decision to pardon his son presented a delicate balancing act for the president, who has long been fiercely loyal to his family, even when it comes down to his own personal or political detriment. Hunter Biden was convicted by a jury in June of illegally buying and possessing a gun as a drug user. After a gut-wrenching trial that delved into drug abuse and family dysfunction, he then pleaded guilty in September of 9 tax offenses, stemming from $1.4 million in taxes that he didn't pay while spending lavishly on escorts, strippers, cars, and drugs. Sources familiar with Hunter Biden's legal strategy said that he would not have agreed to plead guilty in September to all 9 charges in the federal tax case, exposing himself to a possibility of 17 years in prison and more than $1 million in fines without the expectation of clemency. The legal pressure of Hunter Biden mounted as his sentencing dates in December near. People close to the president's son, and they didn't want him to undergo sentencing. In the days before the pardon was assured, Hunter Biden's attorney circulated a 50-page document outlining the 6-year investigation of the president's son and blaming Donald Trump and Republican allies for being the driving force behind his legal problems. Though the controversial Joe Biden's move to pardon a close family member or associate is not unheard of, presidents from both parties have wielded their pardon power in ways that have raised eyebrows, though perhaps none did so after so strongly saying they would not, as Biden did. Trump's pardoned Charles Kushner, his daughter's father-in-law, last month in office. President Bill Clinton pardoned his half-brother Roger, who had pleaded guilty to a drug charge on his last day in office. Biden's public reversal this weekend and his assurance of sweeping full and unconditional pardon for his son, and some Democrats wondering why he had maintained that he wouldn't take course of action that has seemed simply inevitable to many around the president. As a father, I get it. Representative Greg Landsman of Ohio, an Ohio Democrat, said on Twitter, not that one-letter word, but as someone who wants people to believe in public service, it's a setback. I'm getting these pop-ups. Another Democrat, Colorado Senator Michael Bennet, said Biden's decision place personal interests ahead of the duty of further erodes America's faith that the justice system is fair and equal for all. Okay. The criminal justice system is inherently unfair. This is a blip in the map compared to all the injustices that exist all over the criminal justice system. That's what I'm saying, not the article. But we'll go back to the article. Representative Greg Stanton of Arizona, Democrat, said while he respects the president, I think he got this one wrong. This wasn't a politically motivated prosecution, Stanton said on Twitter. Hunter committed felonies and was convicted by a jury of his peers, quote unquote, from Stanton. One former administration official suggested the blowback Monday would have been less intense had Biden not been adamant for months that he wasn't seeking a pardon for his son. Got to remember that Biden is a perpetual liar, folks. Why are you surprised that Biden would go back on any word? Honestly, quote, I wonder if there's a way to just be less righteous about it and more like, well, we're not spending our time thinking about that, quote unquote, a former administration official said. The ex-senior West Wing aide echoed that sentiment, saying that there were multiple ways Biden have left the door open to a pardon rather than ruling out the possibility altogether. Could he have been super honest? They asked, like, hey, I don't know. I can't answer that right now, quote unquote. Jimi, who on more than one occasion had told reporters that Biden would not pardon his son, admitted on Monday that Trump's victory last month's election had been a factor. I don't doubt it. It's a no. I cannot answer that. It's a no. Jimi told reporters on Air Force One when asked whether Biden would have pardoned his son if Vice President Kamala Harris had won the election. But she's proceeded to insist he was not interested in discussing an event that did not happen. I can speak to where we are today, so I can speak to hypotheticals here. I can't speak to hypotheticals here. Sorry about that. Where we are today, the president made this decision over the weekend. And here's the thing about that. I know the crimes were pretty bad. The severity of the crimes were pretty bad. But on one hand, on the other hand, there's a lot of crimes that have been unprosecuted, and a lot of, there's been a lot of the people that engaged in fraud against the American people through the finance systems and through insurance companies and the retail industry, the real estate industry, things of that nature. The banking, the way that they screw over a lot of folks. I think just because some of this shit is not illegal doesn't mean that it was okay for them to do that. And it had far-reaching, more negative consequences than some of the character flaws that would define someone like Hunter Biden. And so, again, there's so many fucks I could give. I don't care if he bought a gun. I don't care if he has a drug problem. I don't care about these things. I really don't. The Republicans want you to care, and the Democrats are so feckless, and they're so calculating. They're thinking, well, they're going to hold this against us in the future. Well, let them. Nobody's going to think about Hunter Biden being pardoned in 2 or 3 years. In fact, nobody's going to think about Hunter Biden being pardoned probably after this week, because it's been said and done. Life is going to go on. Joe Biden is a lame duck. And if I was Joe Biden, as vegetable brain as he is already, I think he had enough sense to know that it's not going to matter in the long term. It's not going to matter in the long run. I don't give a shit. I think he had enough cognitive skills. The gears were grinding in a correct direction enough for him to come up to that conclusion. So I don't care about this. You want you look at Donald Trump's 91 convictions. I mean, majority of his. Look at the 91 crimes that he committed compared to this pardon. I mean, honestly, you're going to have one of the most corrupt people. And I don't even suffer from TDS, folks. You know that. I don't suffer from TDS. As I was telling a friend of mine on the phone today, and neither of us, we're both on the left, but neither of us suffer from Trump derangement syndrome. But, when it comes to Trump, we're not going to give a shit about a mean tweet and things of that nature. We're not going to give a shit. We're going to hate the tax cuts and the deregulations and some of the horrible economics that standard Republicans provide against the American people. But that's what Republicans do. So, on these things, we're going to be like, oh shit, Now, when Trump tries to do some authoritarian measures, and people go out on the streets and protest it, listen, I won't give a shit if some of these people wear a pink pussy hat, because I'll protest against policies that I disagree with, especially something that's detrimental. Like basically going after the immigrants and the mass deportations. That is something to go and protest over. Or if he's arming Israel to the teeth, or some other country that's problematic in the world stage to the teeth, that's something you protest over. or if he repeats something like what he did to Qasem Soleimani in, I believe it was in January 2020, you go and protest against him. Same thing with regarding, the trying to invoke the Insurrection Act, like he did in 2020. I mean, some of these authoritarian measures, yes, absolutely. And, I was telling another friend of mine today on Facebook that there are three kinds of TDS, Trump derangement syndromes. There's the pro-Trump MAGA cult version of it, where they worship the ground he walks on, and there's no wrong that Trump that he could do no wrong. That's a Trump derangement syndrome that's stupid and asinine. And then there's the pink pussy hat version of Trump derangement syndrome. Oh, he says nasty things. Just some of the little stupid, little goofy things that he would do or what have you, because you don't like the guy, and every little stupid thing he does or says, you go and attack him for it. That's what Republicans do to Democrats all the time as well. I don't go with that kind of TDS. I make fun of it. But then there's a TDS that is justified. When Trump do evil shit, then you're justified to hate the guy. Not the resistance liberals, where you have Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer back in the Trump presidency saying he's an asshole in public, but you go and vote for his agenda and appoint his judges and a lot, give him money for his military, give him more money to the military budget than he asked for. Fuck that kind of TDS. I might do a video on that in the near future. Who knows? Suffice to say, well, when it comes to that, when he's doing evil, you go and criticize him. Same thing with Joe Biden. There are things I despise about Joe Biden too while he was president. Here's the thing you got to know about me. I hate any president just about that sits in the Oval Office at the moment. And I suspect I'll be hating Donald Trump in the next 4 years, a whole lot more than I am right now at 8:30 p.m. December 4th, while he is still a relatively private citizen. So, and that's because, once he's sworn in, that's when the nasty policy starts. And that's where things going to get kind of, problematic. So that's what we have going on here. So, the fact that he did not fight harder for Build Back Better, the fact that he just he let Mitch McConnell treat him like a little bitch, referring to the judges, saying that he's going to go and appoint a pro-life judge if he or a few pro-life judges, if he okays this particular judge. I think it was Cassandra Jackson was I think that's her name, if I remember correctly. If he would have her appointed, or have the Senate appoint her, the Republicans in the Senate, that sort of thing. Those are things you can hold against Biden. You can hold against Biden, him behaving like George W. Bush and Dick Cheney on Ukraine, Russia, and being Benjamin Netanyahu's little bitch. You can do these things. So I don't know. I just think that there are just other things to worry about in that regard. More pressing matters than Hunter Biden. I will share this tweet here that's off on Kyle Kalinske, where he says, if it pops up, because it was right there on the screen a second ago, but we'll see what happens. I don't know why. I don't know why the computer likes to do this to me. It's on standby, ready to pop up. It's supposed to be there. Come on. but while it's trying to make up its mind, I'll go ahead and say this. There's a lot of hypocrisy that exists out there. I can't stand that. Let's see. We'll try that again later. I don't know why it's doing that shit again. So let me fix that. Getting back to what I was trying to say earlier, we have a lot of hypocrisy out there, and that's just basically what it comes down to. And I'm not exactly surprised. I'm not exactly surprised to see Biden doing this. And I'm not saying that's out of hypocrisy. I'm just not really surprised that that's what he did in terms of the pardon. Again, it comes close to home. That is your son. What the hell will you be doing in that situation? That's the thing to ask right there. So, and so I don't particularly, I don't know. I just don't particularly think this is something that's worth people's time to worry over. I mean, unless you want to be a partisan hack, and there is that. Okay, that tweet should be. Well, damn it. Okay. All right, that should be popping up on the screen now. So let me go ahead and get that tweet up. Okay, John Bolton said here, Biden is doing exactly the wrong thing by pardoning Hunter. This will give Trump the license to pardon all his supporters, including those from January 6th. And Kyle was correct when he says he was going to do that anyway, you warmongering bitch, referring to John Bolton. Totally agree. So there is that. Now I wanted to go and touch on another subject, and that's related to this. I wish that Joe Biden would go and try to pardon Ed Snowden, free and pardon Ed Snowden. He's technically free by living in Russia, but where if he can leave Russia and come to the United States and not face prosecution, have him pardoned, honestly, because Ed Snowden did a service for the American people. I mean, as if we didn't know we were being spied on and all this shit. And whereas I'm grateful, one of the best things that happened in 2024 was the freeing of Julian Assange. But at the same time, he's not been pardoned, and I would like to see him pardoned. Of course, he lives in Australia. He's an Australian citizen, so there is also that. But the point is that, if you're not going to care what's going to happen, consequences be damned, you're going to go and pardon your son. Why not pardon people who should not have been in trouble in the first place, even more so, like Julian Assange, like Hunter Biden. I mean, not Hunter Biden. I'm sorry, Ed Snowden and Julian Assange. They need to be pardoned. They need to be pardoned right away. So, anyway, and I wanted to touch on that. So, I noticed that Daniel Berry Sports Highlights was here. Desert Mantis says, good evening, Willy Bragg Show, and good evening, Desert Mantis. And Earl says, just got here. Love you, Willie, but the guest last night is going to lead you astray. Oh, I know the guest last night. I know her for years. She's all right. She's all right. I promise you. She's good people. So anyway, so that's pretty much what's going on right now. I'm going to cut this video short tonight because I didn't get an adequate amount of sleep, and I need to do a little bit of take a little power snooze before work. So I would say that I should be back on Friday to talk about stuff, and Braggland should be, Braggland will be back on Tuesday once again. Jimi will be back. So anyway, that's what's going on there. And I'm trying to think anything else that comes to mind. I can't think of anything else right this moment. So, don't worry about it. The point is you made it here. So I'm glad to see you here too. So, if you like what you heard, please press like and comment. Comment any ways you disagree with what I have to say. Feel free to share the content on this channel. That's the First Amendment absolute. It's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it because we're the muckrakers of our time. Subscribe to the Willy Bragg Show on all platforms if you haven't subscribed to it yet, and reject corporate media. Also, in addition to free and pardon Ed Snowden, since we were talking about Ed Snowden, and pardon Julian Assange, free healthcare for all, free Palestine, and free speech for all. Y'all take care. I will talk to y'all soon. I got to take a quick nap before work because work sucks when you work for the man. That's just how it is. Take care. Bye-bye.